Cybercrime is testing our security measures to the limit.
What is happening now is a complete different level of attacks which we were not used to.
And now there's a new target. Our banks.
Situation is quite bad and it's going worse, I believe. Unfortunately, we are seeing a trend which is becoming worse and worse by the attacks, that the motivation behind them is not completely clear.
Nissim Bar-El is the CEO of ComSec, an Israeli agency specializing in international banking security. Experts like him are at the forefront of a cyber war. And these days, it's not just hackers performing cyber attacks.
Definitely. The Chinese were the first one that admitted that they have a unit inside their army and that deals with cyber attacks. So we know about them, we know exactly what they are doing.
Nederland is veel te aantrekkelijk voor internetcriminelen.
DigiD is sinds gisteravond niet of moeilijk bereikbaar.
De bank is vanochtend opnieuw getroffen door een cyberaanval.
Is my money safe?
The money is safe as long as the central bank is taking the responsibility. I would say that a bank cannot really resist a situation in which it cannot operate because of a DDoS attack more than a couple of days, 3 days, 4 days. This is a catastrophe for a financial organization.
So the answer is, I don't know.
The banks are vulnerable in this country as well as in other countries. There are some countries that are
at the same level, or are we more vulnerable than, for instance, in Israel or in the United States of America?
In general, Western European banks are more vulnerable than banks in the US and, of course, in Israel. You know that Israel has been attacked by hundreds times more than any other country in Western Europe, and therefore we have developed for our survival all kinds of tools and methodologies and approaches to protect ourselves.
So you are ahead of us?
Israel is by all means ahead of many of the Western countries, definitely, and the approach is completely different. We understood that and we act accordingly.
Specialists at Nissim Bar-El's Israeli security company patrol the internet. But they've also stepped into the shadowy world of the darknet, a hidden network where hackers and other cybercriminals operate.
A lot of the, let's say, the initial attacks or the organizations start over there. And today it's easy, like going to a rental site for cars or to buy things online, than a normal person that wants to create havoc. He could go to this underground, to this darknet, and rent or hire these high-demand cyber attack services.
What can we learn from Israel?
I think that the first thing to be learned is that the government has to take a decision that this is really on the highest level to be approached. The approach that is taken by some of the countries in Western Europe are not sufficient. I can just tell you that about a year ago, the Prime Minister of Israel have decided to form a national council under his own responsibility, with a budget, with targets, with approaches, with the methodologies, and they are reporting to the Prime Minister of Israel on a very frequent basis on how the country is prepared, how the banks are prepared, how the critical infrastructures are prepared. So I would say the first advice is really to take this kind of aspect of responsibility to the higher level.
It should be on the plate of the Prime Minister.
At least this is the way it has been done in Israel, and as you know...
Would you advise the Dutch Prime Minister the same thing?
I think yes.
According to the Dutch Minister of Security and Justice, banks should protect themselves rather than rely on government help.
Het belangrijkste is dat de banken zelf hun verantwoordelijkheid nemen.
We have a cybersecurity center in this country.
Yeah, of course.
With a budget of 4 million euros a year, this year. Next year, 5.
Yeah, of course. This is...
What's so funny?
Yeah, the figures that you have just mentioned. Yeah, I think that the figures has been published, so I can tell you that the figures in the place where I'm coming from are $750 million, not euros, but still 750. You can see the figures that has been published by the US government and the presidential has added, President Obama has added just last week,
Yes.
it's about 200 million plus to the budget that already exists in cyber protection in his own office.
It's now clear this cyber threat is one of the most serious economic and national security challenges we face as a nation.
So what you're saying really is that 5 million euros is a joke.
I'm not criticizing any of
Yes,
your
you are.
decisions.
Yes, you
No,
are.
no, I'm not.
Yes, you
but,
are.
But yeah, I can say from a professional point of view, and we know exactly what it takes to be protected, a country cannot be really ready by investing 4 or 5 million euros in preparing all the infrastructure needed.
So the cyber police should be provided with more tools.
More tools, more resources, more knowledge, more training.
Nissim Bar-El believes we have to get used to the idea that in their fight against cyber terrorism, security forces will increasingly operate in our private domain.
We are talking about the open source intelligence. You have put this information, you know, you
But that
mentioned
is
the
Big
Boston.
Brother. That's Big Brother.
Yeah, but you know, you mentioned the Boston case. Yes. In the Boston case, now under the investigation, as much as I understand, the guy has published some of his thoughts. And now they understand that they had this kind of information. So again, of course, you know, my privacy is not the same when I have to go through the airport and take off my jacket and everything else, and sometimes my shoes. This is not nice, I don't like it, but this is the price we pay against terrorists. The same will be the price you are paying for using the internet the way we are using it.
We just should be looking more closely.
We should be looking more closely, we should analyze this type of information, and at least look under the bad guys, look for the bad guys, look for the bad information that is there, and trying to understand if really the information is as that simple and innocent as it is.
So the Prime Minister should take the lead. The budgets for the Cybersecurity Center should be raised enormously, because otherwise it won't help. And the police should be given more tools.
I can not disagree with you. I cannot disagree with you, yeah. Yeah, that there's at least these two, the basics and the approach. If I may add one advice to the two that you have just mentioned, a new approach combining between the industry, the academy, and the government, creating the task force on the different levels, on the higher level of the government and the industry and the universities, on the executive levels, on the technical levels, on the researchers' levels. All this kind of fruitful relationship will create the right solutions.
I thank you very much.
Thank you.